Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how you can make your own custom Harley Quinn jacket from the Suicide Squad and take this piece from ill-fitting and basic to black and red jacket of your dreams just in time for Halloween. If you'd like to see how to do this yourself, then just keep on watching. Starting with the jacket zipped in place, you'll want to mark where you want your openings to be on both overlapping flaps. Hers is fairly open, so I left that nice opening in the middle. You'll also want to mark roughly how long you want the jacket to be in the front, as hers is a very short bolero-style A-line cropped jacket. I've decided to do something later with these straps, and the back point is already marked for us, as you'll see later on. The sleeves are also very loose, so we'll be working with the inner seam to adjust those for a much nicer fit. The upper point in the back detailing is the line where we'll be working for the back length. Ultimately, it'll be a little over 1/4 of an inch shorter. Measuring that length, mark it in the neck seams over as well as the side seams. I initially marked the neck seam as well, but chose to ignore that line and connect the side seams to the front length measurement we took earlier instead. Measure that final length in the front you marked to the same length on the other side so that they line up, and then connect that side seam so both sides match. Next, we'll be removing the liner along the bottom. Use a seam ripper to cut the threads and do not use a blade like I am. I've done this for a very long time and am used to this method, but it is dangerous and not for beginners. Detach edge to edge. We need to detach the sleeve lining also. To do this, just reach inside the jacket, cut the little strip holding the liner to the armpit, and put the sleeve entirely inside out. This will expose the sleeve seams as well as where the liner is attached at the wrists. You can see the thread at the edge of the sleeve liner where it connects. Use your seam ripper, not a blade, to cut to separate from the sleeve. Do this to both sleeves. Now you can see where the sleeve is folded over. Cut that thread line as well. The seam coming down from the armpit is the one that we'll adjust to make the sleeve tighter. You can slide your arm in and pinch the material to see just how much you need to take in. Mark that and measure a line parallel to the seam line. I'm used to eyeballing things, so you'll just see me marking some lines and connecting the dots. Make sure it ends at the seam or the armpit point. Pin it flat and sew along the line that you've made. Once it's sewn, cut off the extra materials about 1/4 of an inch from your new seam. Repeat on your other sleeve. Ultimately, I decided to take it to the upper portion as well and continue the line into the armpit point, cutting off the excess when finished. In this flat area, you could sew a diamond on the outside by opening the inner seam, laying it flat, attaching the diamond material piece to the outside, and then re-sewing shut, but I chose not to. You can see that the back detailing is actually a part of the jacket structure and not just an extra piece. You can just ignore this, but since I will be incorporating it later, I'm going to cut the seams all the way around. Again, use a seam ripper, not a knife. Here you'll want to detach between the layers. Where there are so many layers, I always use a seam ripper to cut the threads all at once. Once removed, you'll see it's falling apart and a little messy. Remove the tiny thread pieces, you'll thank yourself later, and then re-stitch along this center stitch all the way around to make it flat and reinforced solid again. Here you can see the difference between the side that is re-sewn and the side that's still open. Once you finish, it'll look nice and clean again and ready to be used later if you choose. Take the points where you measured and marked earlier and connect the line. line all the way across the front, layer side to side. Don't cut that zipper edge. Because it's bulky, I prefer to remove any zipper edge before cutting the material for a better finished point at the end. Use your seam ripper to cut the surface threads and pull apart. Once removed, line your material back up and pin it flat. Cut through the back pleather along the same line and cut off, leaving the liner length for now. Remove your edge pins and mark your line about a ½ inch out from the mark you made from your opening in the beginning and cut off that material along the line. You'll need the ½ inch for folding. Remove the stitch at the top to separate the two pieces and fold the top piece under and the bottom piece over to sandwich between the material and pin together. Once pinned, run it through your sewing machine. Now you have a good clean edge, and for a finished look, run it through your machine 2 more times parallel to the stitch line that you just made to carry on that triple stitch edging that the jacket already has. You'll do the same to the other side, but you can simply cut across the zipper since it's not an edge, and we'll be keeping it in for the final design. Be sure to triple stitch that side as well. To finish the sleeve, start by tucking the sleeve back into the sleeve liner. Next, line up the wrist edge and pin the liner back in place and run through your machine to attach the two again. It'll look like this. Fold the cuff where the original fold line is in the pleather material and pull the liner out from under it to make sure that it's not pulled too tight. Stitch the edge down along the old stitch line to finish. Do the same to the other sleeve and then turn them right side out. Lay the jacket flat on its back and smooth the liner down evenly. Pin the liner into place along the bottom to hold it into place, flip it over, and cut the excess liner, leaving about a ½ inch extra along the edge. Continue around the front liner pieces. Remove the pins and fold the material over ½ inch and run it through your sewing machine. To close in the bottom, you'll then fold the pleather side, laying it flat, and fold the pleather about a ½ inch inward and pin. Run it through your machine once. Lay the liner about a ½ inch up from the pleather edge and pin it together. For joining slicker materials, I like to put my pins vertically. Run through your machine twice to create that last triple stitch edge along the bottom. Remove any loose strings as needed. Now you can either stop here or you can add some extra detailing. Take the piece that we salvaged earlier and line up along the bottom edge seam to seam and with that center point. Stitch around the entire shape on that outside stitch line to attach it flat. Cut off the straps from the extra pieces that we removed earlier and set aside. Now you don't have to do this step, but I'm going to go ahead and add a couple rivets that I have to help the straps to stay flat where I want them to be. Placing them where you see here, it's just 2 pieces that snap together through a hole in the material that you then pinch shut with pliers. Here I'm just pushing it through a hole in the strap and the jacket itself and then moving the material out of the way to pinch them shut with pliers. Now you could just stitch these flat alternatively, but I do really love the look of rivets personally. Take the straps that you set aside and buckle them through the second hole of each one. Lay them flat and then measure a little longer than where you want them to end and make them all the same length. Fold the end under just a little and stitch it to the jacket. Stitch a U shape that continues up about 2 inches on each side of the strap to help them lay flat in place. Now you have an A-line fitted crop jacket that is just so much more flattering and completely finished off properly. But now we have to make it the right color. Using a leather acrylic paint that is linked below, I used a tester strip to see how I wanted to apply the paint as well as how many layers that I would need. A brush was ultimately the best option for me, and 3 layers was perfect. The layers dry within about 15 minutes to the touch and can be helped with a blow dryer as you go. Full cure time is about 24 hours before you can wear your new jacket. Any area that you're going to be painting, use a cotton ball and a high percentage rubbing alcohol and fully wipe down those areas to prep them for paint. Once dry, apply even layers to the sections that you want. Be sure to take your time on the edges and any crease areas for a really clean look. The cleaner that you are with this look, the more it will look like sewn together different colored materials in sections as opposed to painted areas. Wipe off any areas that you get any paint while they're still wet, as it's very hard to remove once it's dry. To dry overnight, I simply put a broom handle through the sleeve and hung it on a chair so that no areas would overlap and stick. After 24 hours, I moved on to the back detailing. For the diamonds, just use 1-inch masking tape. It really does help to measure your diamonds out so that they will be centered and even, but again, I'm just used to eyeballing. A sponge to apply the diamonds as I wanted a textured and thinner look, missing some spots. Cover all 4 diamonds and after a moment, wipe off the right diamond with a wet rag to leave a very thin layer of the red for a black diamond look that stands out. For the letters, I looked at an image of the movie jacket and just wrote the font to match with a silver Sharpie pen. I then painted over it with a white acrylic paint in 2 layers, and that was it. Thank you guys so much for watching today. You have no idea how very grateful I am each and every time that you choose to watch any one of my videos. I'll see you next time.